Yeah, your foot did look weird. No, it didn't. It looks. I don't know what you meant by weird. It was fine.
It looked hella weird. I'll
I,
show you.
I don't even know what you meant by it looked weird. Wait, don't show me where.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah.
You right.
Whatever. I'll just leave this in. uh, let's just start. I'll leave that part in. No need for an introduction. So if we're just gonna go off the top, I feel like we should have always gone off the top. And I think for this episode, we'll just talk about the previous episodes, not go over them, but what are we gonna do next? Oh,
First,
you find this boring. I see. All right, I see how it is.
No, hold on. First, I actually been wanting to ask you this because I think we talked about it a long time ago when we were that one weekend we went to Wyoming. I always forget the name of the park, so I just say Wyoming.
Wyoming. Oh, yeah. For Kanye's listening party, man, that was a while ago. Speaking about that, what's coming up this weekend? That's right, that new album, gospel album. Is it going to be Kanye's redemption album, where he goes out to the communities and gets their graces and gets humbled by them, and now we introduce them back into our lives from the warmth embrace of our bosom?
Is that the Jesus is King thing that I've been seeing?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea what that was. I thought he was like the way he was dressing or something. Yeah, I didn't know he was coming out with a gospel album.
And if you remember last year, Yandi dropped. When did it drop?
Yandi
Sunday.
never dropped.
Oh, it didn't?
No, it only got teased and never dropped.
Never mind.
At least that I'm aware of. Then after that, I was like, when it comes out, it comes out. I guess it never did.
So Wyoming, what about it?
Oh yeah. I remember you had told me once that I have this like mad face if I'm just like staring off into the distance.
Yeah, I agree.
And I always disagreed with it until most recently. Previously, before we started the show, I told you I had gone to a farmer's market last Sunday.
Yeah.
And I actually ordered some food there. And while I was waiting for my food, I was just kind of, I guess, daydreaming, staring off into the distance. And this little Asian lady came and ordered in front of me. But I had already ordered. I was just waiting off to the side. And obviously, I can still tell what's going on around in my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just staring off into this and daydreaming, thinking about something else. I was just not in the moment. And the lady turns to me and kind of like takes a little step back, like she was scared. She goes, "I'm so sorry. Did I just cut you?" And I kind of get like snapped back into reality. I'm just like, "Huh? I'm sorry. What?" And she's like, "I'm sorry if I just cut you." And I'm like, "Oh, no. You're cool. Like, it's okay." But she left or whatever, and then that kind of thing, I was like, why would she kind of have like this scared face? And then I came to that realization. I was like, oh, I might have had that mad face that Pedro's always talking about. So I just kind of involuntarily mad dogged a lady. But I was literally just out of it, just thinking.
Could be your scars also look like tattoos.
True. I don't know. The way I was facing her, she wouldn't, like, the line of sight, my scar wouldn't have been the first thing she saw.
Never mind. Then you were just you just look pissed.
Yeah. How would I improve that? Just walk around smiling all the time?
Nah, I think a lot of people have that. I do when I stare out, I have a blank face.
See, I'd rather have a blank face than a mad face.
Nah, because when they look at you, they're like, oh shit, he's pissed. When they look at me, they're like, fucking dumbass. Because I just look like I'm staring out into space. Like I'm like a blank face. I'm not thinking about anything, but it's really the opposite. I'm focusing on something so much that my facial expressions or my face muscles just relax.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'm working my face to make it mad. I feel like my face is relaxed when I'm in my blank face.
No, you look mad.
I don't know. I feel like it takes effort to frown.
I think it does, unless you've been doing it for so long that it became a habit, and now you just do it, and to you it feels relaxed, but maybe it's not.
True. Shoot, I don't know. I'd rather have that kind of blank stare instead of kind of being unapproachable.
Because if you go to sleep and we take a picture of you when you're sleeping, not drunk or anything, just a regular sleep, I don't think you would have that mad face. I think that would be a blank face. That would be like a starting point. Your what would it be called? Your point of reference.
To get Botox in my forehead then to relax the muscles.
Well, gonna go for it. I say you get those lips.
Fuck no. Can you imagine just show up one day just ridiculously transformed?
All right. So this episode.
Oh, sorry. I just had that. I've been wanting to tell you all week, but I just remembered right now. So yeah, this week a lot of things happened.
No. PP. PFP. PFTP.
PFTP.
That's right. Podcast for the people. So what are we gonna do moving forward?
I'm like, what? Why are you adding letters every single time?
I said PP because it was gonna be podcast for the people, but then I thought, should I add the F and the T?
Yeah, there's no way I would have put that together just by two letters, P and P. PFTP. I think 100% of the time, other people's minds would go straight to where my mind went when you just say PP.
P.P. Thompson. Yeah, he was pretty famous, but I don't know why people would just jump to that.
All right, PFTP, party for the people. What did you say?
That works too. Podcast for the people.
Podcast for the people. What are we doing forward? Moving forward.
Let's get into this shit right away. We're coming in hot. Steven, I don't like that whenever I ask you a question, you go, ask me a question.
How was your day?
A question with a yes or no response.
Do you think gas is overpriced?
Yes. See what I did there?
Yes.
Just like that. Just like that. Just like that.
No, I did that on purpose. But yeah, I guess. Why does it bother you?
Because it sounds
like I'm unsure. Because the way you just said it kind of sounded like you were unsure.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was going for. But like, it is that it's unsure, but like you're answering the question to answer the question. Like I'm asking you because I want to know what you think, but it sounds like you're trying to find the right answer.
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I think I'm just more trying to answer nonchalantly, like, yeah.
That's how it sounds to me. I don't know if that's what you're trying to do.
Nah.
But that's just the way it sounds to me.
Not trying to find the right answer. It's more just I'm trying to be nonchalant about it, where I'm just like, yeah. But not too forward and not too, like, I don't really care.
All right. Because then when that happens, then I feel like I'm a teacher, kind of like asking like questions. And I don't like being like a teacher. I kind of just want to talk and just, what's that thing that like comedians or even musicians do where they riff? Or they call it riffing when a comedian does it, they're going back and forth in jokes. When a musician does it, they're going back and forth in music. I would be playing the guitar, and then you would come in, oh shit, check this out, keep playing that, and then you'd play something, and then it kind of go back and forth. But then when I hear the no, then it feels like that's chopped off, and then it's like we're searching for the right thing.
Okay.
To me, I don't know if that's how it sounds. Oh, it sounds like that's not how it feels to you, but just to me, it feels like that.
I didn't know that. No, I was just answering in a more nonchalant way. I guess to me, what would make me just not really too assertive or anything like that.
No, be assertive if you believe in whatever it is.
Okay.
That, and when I don't think I do it as much that often because I review the audio, but sometimes I still answer your answer for you, and that's my fault.
What do you mean answer for me?
Not answer for you. How should I say it? I help you out in an answer,
Oh.
and then like you would say something about, I would ask you, so what do you think about the climate strike? And then you would say, oh, I think it's cool, but I don't think that many protesters were at and then I would go, oh, they were at here and they were there because of this. And then you'd go, yeah, that's why. Like I finish the end of your train of thought sometimes.
I don't think you finish it. I think I know what I'm talking about. I just forget specifics.
And that was a...
So like if you did ask me that and I probably answered, I probably would have got stuck on the place, because even right now thinking about it, I don't remember exactly where that protest happened.
Hold on, but it wasn't about specifics. It was more about me finishing the end of it. And I don't know if that's what you would have said, because that was a very specific example. It's more when I finish something, I finish your idea, but I don't know if that's the direction you were gonna go. And because I answered it, maybe you would have said the opposite, but because I answered it, I think you just go with it. And that's my fault for kind of going in and answering it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't like that I do that. It was a lot more in the beginning because I was trying to help you out, but then I was like, remember when I told you, I think I'm just going to let you stumble through it.
Yeah.
But then you were taking too long, so I was like, oh, fuck. All right, I'm just going to help him. But now I'm just going to let you stumble through it again.
Okay.
So what's our podcast then?
What's our podcast moving forward?
About?
Oh, about. I don't know. I think saying everything and anything is way too broad and vague.
No, we knew that from the beginning. That's way too...
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like very specific things. I would like to stick to that. I do like how we sometimes go over, certain things that we watched or experienced. But I don't know. I think maybe I'll still do that. Talk about, things going on, things we're looking forward to, but not make it as narcissistic where I just only want to talk about myself.
Yeah, because what I've noticed from the more successful, and let me not use successful, from the podcast that get more viewers, they have a specific thing that they do, all of them. Whether it's a specific topic, a specific genre, or a specific style that they do. They have something that they focus on, but even with that focus, they manage to branch out into almost any other topic they can go out into.
What do you mean?
Okay, so give me a successful podcast that that I would know too, and then I'll try to explain it through example.
That we've done, or just another podcast?
Oh no, another one.
Okay, never mind. Then I know what you mean. I was just confused. I thought you were talking about...
Oh no, we don't do that. I think for the first 20, not even 20, for the first 40, maybe even up until now, it's been really focused on movies. Which is fine, but that's not what we were going to focus on in the beginning. Because even in our description, it does say movies, but it says TV shows and storytelling and ideas. Which, looking back at it now, I think that's a very broad statement.
Yeah, you wrote it. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I thought when I wrote it that it was focusing in on something, but actually going through the podcast and doing them now, it feels like we don't know what we want to talk about, but we have these main ideas, and that we're gonna just pick and choose whichever one we feel like at the moment, which we could do, but I would like to have something to focus on. And it doesn't have to be a topic. I mean, a style, some kind of genre or something. You following?
Yeah. Trying to figure out what that would be, though.
Yeah, well, that's the hard part. What would it be?
Because there's so much. So much.
Yeah, that's what we would have to narrow it down. Because we could talk about what we wouldn't be. That would be a lot easier. Like right now, I could say we're not a tech review. That's easy, right? We're not a tech review podcast. We're not a news review podcast.
Yeah, right.
So it's not hard. We just need to figure out what we want to talk about, because we can figure out what we don't want to talk about.
I don't know. Sometimes I might want to talk about tech.
Yeah, no, we can do that. I don't even know if we need it, but just have something to use as a home base. So if we ever get lost or confused, then we have something to go off of. Like comedians can talk about anything they want,
but as long as they make it funny.
But yeah, see, that's their home base. They're comedians first, and their podcasters second.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, I would say they're co-dependent. They're comedians and podcasters. So, but they have something that they could always go back to.
Yeah.
That would be their niche, their specific thing that they do.
But do we have to have our own niche?
I don't know. I think it would help us. To answer your question, no, we don't.
Yeah.
But I think it would help us.
That's true. So what would armchair expert be?
I think he's just a interview style. That's it. Just interview. He likes to interview, specifically celebrities, right?
For the most part, he has like some.
I haven't watched it enough, and I've only seen the one with Conan, and I think maybe the one with his wife, and that's the only ones I've seen. So I don't really know that much about it, but I do know that it's Dax Shepard, and from what I've seen, he interviews celebrities, and that's all I know about it.
Well, yeah, because obviously, he's a celebrity. He has celebrity friends. It's easier for him to have that type of pull. I've gone pretty deep into his podcast, and even though he doesn't have, it is interview style. What I always find that he brings up is like his sobriety, and he asks them about that, and he always talks about like his story or whatever.
And I don't know that much about it. I don't know if you're trying to say that the thing that he focuses on is sobriety. I think he's just an interview style, and that's it. That's what he does. He interviews people.
Mm-hmm.
That's his main, not focus, but that's what his podcast revolves around, interviewing people. I guess people that he finds interesting, or friends or celebrities, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is that right? Is that wrong?
And I watched the first episode, which is only like 4 minutes long, but he explains the whole reason for the podcast and the whole way, like the reason why he got his name. And I'll butcher it, but I guess back then, armchair experts was where a bunch of people just sat around, thought about the way things worked, and decided that's how it is. They didn't do any actual research or experiments to concur or prove that everything they thought about was correct. So they were just, as the name details, armchair experts, because all they did was sit in chairs and think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's why they do the fact check after every podcast, which I thought is neat, because then they correct themselves. and give the right info.
And I think the fact check, well, I don't know if it's, I don't know, is podcast enough to say, but I would assume that's optional, or that's optional in, when I say it's optional, I mean he doesn't have to do it, but he wants to do it. Something he just wants to do to give out the right information.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it revolves around him actually telling facts.
No, it is, because he kind of does what I think I do. Sometimes just goes off of what he's heard, and he has that information to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this one, I can't remember the exact example right off the top of my head now, but there are times where you'll talk about a subject and I won't have that much knowledge on it, but I do remember I was kind of just sitting around listening to somebody else talk about it, and I can pull that, what he said, and then input into our conversation. But I don't really know whether it's true or not. It's just, that's just the only thing that I know about whatever it is we're talking about. And I feel like he does that too, but he's obviously more well read and everything than I am now. But then at the end, he's like, his co-host, she's always calling him on his shit. Basically, she's like, "Oh well, at this point, you also said this, and yeah, that's not right. It's actually this, and this." So I was like, "Yeah, I can find myself kind of sometimes talking out of my butt."
I think everyone does it. Just think the difference between people is how much we do it. Some people do it more, some people do it less, but I would say that everyone does it to a certain extent. I know I do it. I try to limit the number of times I do it, but I definitely do it.
She reminds me of have you ever seen Limitless?
Wait, say it again. Limitless?
Limitless.
Oh yeah. Right, yeah.
The movie.
Bradley Cooper?
Yeah, there's the scene where his landlord's wife is like bitching at him as he's going upstairs to get into his apartment, bitching about him about the rent. And he had just started taking that drug that's making him like just super aware, hyper aware of his surroundings. And then he happens to like catch a glimpse of a book, and he remembers that book from like some that he's like saw this one book like years ago sitting on a coffee table, and he knew why that person that had that coffee table had that book, and he like put all these things together and was able to like ask her about it, talk to her about it, and pull up information, like just random information that would fit into that specific topic that they were talking about. And like it worked out for him. But obviously it's a movie, it's because he was on a drug that made him able to use every single part of his brain. But I feel like we do that just at a exponentially less rate of success.
Yeah, I think when he did it in the movie, it was, I don't remember that. I remember the scene you're talking about, but I don't remember what he said. It was some kind of medical book
It was a law book about a judge for some course, because I guess the lady was in law school, and he just started telling her, "Oh, they say, this judge never actually wrote his stuff. His assistants wrote it, and they were very upset with him. And then he like gave her tips like, oh, if you really want the truth, you can probably hit up their assistants that are, have this like vendetta against the judge, and they'll give you more information." And he started helping her. I don't know the script word for word, but that's basically what happened.
Okay, I think in that case, in that specific instance, whether it's word for word or whether it happened or not, I think in that case he wasn't presenting anything to be fact. He was just saying, or actually kind of did. He kind of said that the assistants knew about it. But I say fact because I think when we do it, we try to present something as fact. Oh, I heard this and this happened. Or did you hear about this? This is true. And we don't say this is true, but it's more like, did you hear about this? I think it's because of this. So we use what we heard before and try to present it as an argument. And I shouldn't even say argument, as like a fact, as something that's either fact or trying to disprove something.
Yeah, but I think that would be for most of our conversations because there's not a lot of things that we're like real experts in.
Right. But the trick with doing that is, I think, would be to present it in a way where you're neither trying to prove it or disprove it. It's more you're sharing the information without making it seem like you're leaning towards a certain way, where you're kind of staying in the middle, where I can say, I heard you're talking about how they came up with a new type of metal, and this metal is just as strong as vibranium. And let's say
Did you just make up the word vibranium?
why would you be impressed if I did?
Yeah, I don't know what that. I've never actually heard of that term. So
It's true, you don't watch the Avengers.
the house from the Avengers.
That's what Wolverine's claws are made of, and what Iron Man's shield is made of, vibranium, the strongest metal on Earth.
I did not know that.
Well, anyway, so if you were talking about, if I said, or we were talking about vibranium metal, and then you said they just discovered this new metal, it's called vibranium, super strong, and then I haven't heard about it yet, but then let's say I watched the Avengers, so then I say, oh, it's similar to the Avengers thing, to how Captain America has a shield. It's just like that. I remember watching in the Avengers movie, Iron Man's shield is made out of that, and it's almost impenetrable to anything. Is that how it is? Is that how the vibranium that they found here is? So when I presented that, it was completely neutral. I'm not trying to say that it is this strong or if it's weak or anything. I'm just comparing it to something else and saying, is this true or is it false?
Mm-hmm.
You following me?
Yeah, but then that would be the same thing if whatever guy is telling you about this vibranium, and then you ask him that same question, he could just be like, "Oh yeah, it's just like that." But what if he doesn't know? What if he's just saying, "Yeah, yeah."
That's the risk you run. But the way I presented it was completely neutral. I'm not saying it is, it isn't. I'm just saying, I know it's like this. Is it like this? And could the other guy lie? Yeah, he could lie. He could just be lying and say, yeah, it is. Or no, it's not. I don't even know why we're talking about this. What were we talking about? Avengers? So you're going to see it or what?
I have no idea. But
no, I remember it was the.
No, I don't want to get off of this. I have a question.
Okay.
So let's say you didn't present something to me the way you just gave the example right now. Like, oh, I, made the comparison to the Avengers or whatever. And you just told me, oh, you ever heard this thing about vibranium? And I'm just like, what the fuck is vibranium? And you know, exactly how the conversation just went. I don't want to repeat it.
Okay.
I find you, so as someone that isn't a bullshitter, I believe you're, smart. Doesn't matter whether it's like in an education sense or street smart, whatever. I find you smart. So yeah, so then I would take what you said at face value. If it sparks some general interest, I'll look into it myself and, read up on it. But if it doesn't, it's just like, oh, cool. That's cool to hear, whatever. Maybe it's just something you said in passing, but I wouldn't doubt it coming from you. And then maybe it comes up somewhere else. If I'm talking to another friend, I'll pull that, present it in a way that you explained earlier. Then I don't find that there's anything wrong with that. But if it was like somebody else, we have some friends that like to, what's the word I'm looking for? Bullshit.
Okay.
You can just straight up tell whatever they're saying. There's no way you can take that at face value. Maybe what they're saying is like at most 20% accurate, and they're just saying it because they're just saying it. They want to. They're that maybe that type that just likes to, tell a good story, or those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Anything they say will just go in through one ear, come out the other. I mean, I'd pay attention. I don't want to be rude. I'd participate in the conversation, but that is literally right away going into the trash. I would never, ever, like, dwell or take anything that they said um, as absolute fact.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think we're good. We have good judgment in that. We don't just we aren't gullible and just take everything people say like as truth.
I would say no, that everyone's gullible.
To an extent, but not
Yeah.
to a point where like everything everyone says is.
Or let me be more specific, where we wouldn't do any type of action just based off what someone else would say. I think that's a lot more. So if you said running naked in the morning is good for your cardiovascular health because your skin is exposed, and because it's all exposed, then your body heats up at the same time, and because it heats up at the same time, then your blood flows consistently throughout. So if you have any kind of clogs, then your clogs get unclogged.
See, if I said that to you, that wouldn't. If you believed me, that would be a problem.
But yeah, I don't think just by me saying it or from you saying it to me, we would do it.
Yeah, I mean, you would use your judgment, but if I was like this, um, like if my life was running, I participated in every, major race. I trained with like pros. I literally running was my life, and the only thing I ever did to take off time when running would be coming into this podcast and talking to you. It would hold more weight. Like I'm telling you that because I'm doing it every morning. I'm running naked. But coming from like a regular civilian who doesn't really run, I don't think so.
Okay. So then tell me if I'm right or wrong. So what you're saying is if someone does something, is an expert in something, that holds more weight than just someone else saying the same thing because they're an expert in it.
If they're actively trying, then yes.
Okay. And I think for most people, and I think everyone looks at it that way. If you had an expert in track and field tell you that the best time that you should do these workouts if you want to go to the Olympics, then I think most people would follow it. I personally don't look at it like that. Because I've seen people that are experts be wrong when they say something, and I've seen people that aren't experts be right. But I would say most people do believe in that, and it's because you don't want to. It's a time game. If an expert tells you something, then you don't want to go and look up the information and find out if that's right or wrong, because it takes time, energy, and you might not even know how to do it. So then you have to learn how to do it, how to look at a research paper, how to find information, how to read charts to find out if some statistic is right or wrong. So I think most people do that. But because I know how to look at research papers and how to distinguish between different information to see if, okay, in this percentage of people, this happens, this certain drug does help, but it has these side effects, then, damn, I keep losing my train of thought. My examples are too long. What were we saying? No, I kind of remember. Yeah, I think it was ever since, I've told you about Runyon before, right? The architect teacher at Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was the first person that told me, the first person that I respected as a teacher, and then the first person that to tell me, no matter who you meet in the future or how you grow up, how you go through your life, just remember to always question everything. And that part wasn't, I was like, of course. But then he said, question me either. Just because I'm a teacher and I have this degree and I'm here and I'm older than you, that doesn't mean that I know more than you. Or just because I'm a drafting teacher, that doesn't mean that I know more about drafting than you. It just means I've been doing it longer. So question everything and question me.
Yeah, I follow.
And for a while, it's one of those things that you kind of hear but you don't do. Like, you know you should eat healthy, but we don't. Or most people don't, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I was in my research lab where someone kept telling me to run my experiment a certain way. And I kept doing it because she was a master's student. So I assumed that she knew more than me and that her way was right. And I later found out that something was wrong. And it wasn't that she was wrong, or that I was wrong. It's more that it wasn't working because of something that I was using. But when she did it, it worked for her, but it wasn't working for me. But I kept doing it because she was my, not elder, but more advanced.
Yeah,
So I just assumed she was right.
I get that. And I'm not saying just because an expert's telling you to take that as absolute fact, because obviously there's variables to everything.
Yeah.
I could have longer legs than you that might make me more aerodynamic. So running naked it helps me. But because if you might have shorter legs, it might not work for you. You might have to have some, wind resistant draft shorts or whatever.
Look, let's quit tiptoeing around. Fentanyl gets into the skin. Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true? I'll tell you what, I looked it up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was really curious about it. Why? Because I had a high hunch that you were wrong. A very high hunch that you were wrong. I didn't know. I didn't assume you were wrong, but I had a very strong hunch you were wrong. And I looked it up. Did you look it up? I know you did it.
Since that time, no. I just did I just went based off what I heard and whatever headline I read, and that's it. But I don't think I presented it as absolute fact.
You did.
No, there's no way.
Not as a fact.
I told you straight up, I read this, and this is what happened. This is what I read.
You kept pushing it towards. Hold on, I'm too hype right now. Let me take a little breather. Let me take a. All right. So when you said it in a way just to kind of present something, just to kind of share it, like, oh, this is what I found. And I was like, oh. And then right away I was like, I don't know. It sounds a little weird. Can you tell me more? Then you told me more. But then you didn't say it as a fact, but you were leaning towards, I think that might be true. Because then you were saying that the intensity of it, that it's this really strong drug and that it's 100 times, it was either 10 or 100 times, but it was significantly stronger than some other type of drug. Not heroin. I think I said heroin.
Morphine.
You said it's either 10 or 100 times stronger than morphine.
I think I might have said 100. I don't think that number is more accurate.
Something like, but it was stronger.
Yeah.
In a way that it's stronger, and because of its strength, that maybe it can go through the skin just by touching it.
I'd say that. I think I said something about sweat because the dude was sweating or whatever.
Right. But yeah, right. There's no but, right? And your argument sounded like you were trying to lean towards the side where I think this might be true because of this drug and because of its strength.
Well, I'm not gonna, experiment it to find out. I'm just gonna take it at face value that shit is very dangerous. So stay away from it.
Yeah, of course it's dangerous.
But no, I think I did lean more towards it's probably right, just because what the widely known, what's the word I'm looking for?
Consensus? Is that the word?
Consensus, the reputation fentanyl has. The word I was looking for was reputation.
Reputation.
Because of its reputation, fentanyl is very, very potent and dangerous. So I'm like, oh, well then, yeah, cool. I think that might be true, but I didn't care enough to really double check because I don't see myself any time in the future getting anywhere close to it or having anything to do with it.
Right. And it was just that it was bothering me because I was really curious about it. Not because of the drug or because of the case, more because of the way that it's transported.
So cut the shit. Does it work or not? Can you get sick by touching somebody else that's like sweating through your bare hands or whatever it was I said?
So I found 2 scientific articles on them, and they were both inconclusive. Meaning this.
So what about the?
But
did you read the story about the paramedic or whatever that got sick because of it?
No, I didn't look up, and I didn't follow up on that specific story anymore. And it's been so long because I looked it up that day. So I did read that, but I didn't read anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's something. To me, it seems like something else might have been going on. Like there would have to be a way, I would think, for somehow fentanyl to get into their bloodstream. I'm thinking of it kind of like acid. If you put, I remember we were talking about acid, and you put it on your skin, nothing happens. It needs to be absorbed into the bloodstream. So that's how I was looking at it. I don't think you can just put anything on here and it could.
I might have fell for the headline clickbait.
You're not completely wrong on something being able to touch you and get infected. Because if you take a snake poison, specifically snake poison that attacks your skin or that attacks your epithelial cells, which is your skin, then it does. Just by touching it, it'll start to burn and it'll start to, I was going to say delete. It'll start to disintegrate. Deteriorate it. So that's a case where if you touch it, it would go into your system by burning into you and by just traveling into you. But I don't think fentanyl works that way. I think it has to be somehow
digested,
injected. So it would have to find a way into your bloodstream. Let's say that. That's as far. I didn't look farther into it than that.
There's probably more variables than what was reported in that specific article about the paramedic or whatever.
Yeah, because again, people lie. So I'm not saying that they're lying, but I'm very skeptical on what that report was and what's coming out and whether they just touched it or touched him and they got infected. I don't know. It seems a little strange.
But maybe that writer just got done watching that Chernobyl documentary and it's like, oh shit, fentanyl works the same way as fucking plutonium, or that's not plutonium, whatever, uranium. Because there's a scene in that show where a firefighter is helping one of the dudes out of the rubble, where he touches like a rock and moves it out of the way to help somebody, and that because he touched that rock with his bare hands, like he was sick within hours and ended up dying. But yeah, who knows? Too many variables. We don't know.
Well, anyway, let's get away from that. This is PFTP. PFTP. So the reason I wanted to do this, and we're still going to talk about it more, but was to share with the listeners where we're going forward, but more so to share if someone else wanted to start a podcast, like how you would talk about it, how you would start it. And we're kind of already halfway into it. Not halfway, but 50 episodes into it. So it's not like we're in the beginning stages. We're more in the, I wouldn't even say middle stages, in the trying to figure out how to grow it, I suppose you would say. And I know there's when I was looking at stuff, there's some stuff out there, but it's all very vague. Like if you want to grow your podcast, then do this. You need to have this. Make sure you have a catchy title. Make sure something. And it's helpful, but it's also very vague. It's kind of like if you wanted to get to lose weight, I would say, oh yeah, work out.
That's super vague.
All right, if you wanna get skinny, yeah, go for a run every day. That's more specific, but that's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes? Do I need to do a mile? Do I increase? Do I decrease? What do I wear? What do I eat? Where do I run? Does it matter if I run in a hill or by the beach?
How fast you should be going.
How fast? What pace should I keep? And that's kind of how I felt it was in the beginning, where it's kind of specific because it's running is specific, but it's also very vague at the same time. So I thought it'd be nice for all the listeners to hear how we would work through it. Probably talk about this one more time in another episode to get more specific, and then whatever we, I guess, come to an agreement with, then we'll actually do it and then continue going forward.
But even if you ask somebody how to lose weight, oh, actually, never mind. That doesn't make sense. Never mind. Yeah, let's do it.
Were you thinking about that the whole time?
Yeah, my mind went straight to, we're gonna talk to listeners if they hopefully they're wondering or whatever, and I was like, yeah, but what works for us might not work for them, because what if we're trying to get fast in sprints, but what works for them is getting fast in distance, and their workouts can be super different. And so I was like, even then our shit won't be right. What we're doing isn't the only way.
And we're not providing a plan. We're just showing them our plan, our guide.
Yeah.
And then they can take or not take whatever they would want. So what we're doing is we know we want to get skinny and we know we got to run. So we're going to set...
I am skinny.
So we're going to set the days and the pace.
Yeah.
And that's just two things. There's also the clothes they should wear, where they should go. And there's all these things that we haven't come up with. We're going to give them just a little guide of what we're going to do, and they can take it or not.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. I'm following.
Right. So what's the biggest topic? I guess the biggest topic would be what we're going to talk about going forward. All right. We did movies for the first 50, and I don't think I want to focus on movies because I think there's already a whole bunch of established movie podcasts out there and way better than us.
Yeah, they get way deep into it. We're just kind of skimming off the top.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to get too specific with it because they go into real specifics and real details where they really analyze the movie and they purely focus on the movie. And they do draw examples from other things, but personally I like that connecting ideas together. So I don't think should do the movie thing. What do you think?
You bring up a good point. Only because I don't know enough about overall cinema or the technology of it to really be pulling stuff week in, week out for every single movie or show or book or whatever that we talk about.
Right. And I felt like the first 50 was like it was something I wanted to talk about and it was something that you were interested, but I don't think it was something that we were both as deeply interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I like watching stuff, obviously. I've never watched more things that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there was a big period where I was just not interested in anything that came out. I'd be like, oh yeah, that looks interesting. Will I go watch it? Nah. And my life wouldn't be any different whether I did or didn't. Um, so I don't know. I did get it, into it as we were watching or as we were, talking about it. Um, I like watching behind the scenes stuff, little side notes. Oh, this thing was this way because, the director or the actor took this from this like 1939 movie
Mm-hmm.
that was very popular, and they did the side by side comparisons, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I would have never got this reference if I didn't know about this, or if I wasn't super old and had watched this movie in 1939 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I like that, and I like reading little side things where or like, I actually like rewatching things because maybe I watched the movie back in 2010 and something went over my head, and obviously 9 years have passed, and now I'm rewatching shit now, and something that went over my head back then isn't going over my head now because I'm like, wait, you know, maybe I had some sort of similar experience, or whatever topic they were talking about, I had come across it, recently or whatever. So now it makes the scene more funny, more interesting, more uh, dramatic or something. It makes the viewing experience a lot better than it was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked about it, and that's sometimes what I would try and talk about, but because you hadn't seen it, so it was kind of like, oh well, you haven't had the viewing experience, so it made it difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even then, I would, even if you had watched, I think the way I explained it wouldn't have really been of much help because all the info wasn't really there. I didn't have all the info to go off of. But I think I just went on a rant, so I don't know. Are we still on the same topic?
What were you trying to say?
Well, I was just saying that's like my view on the whole movie thing, which is cool. I like it. But yeah, we're skimming off the top, so it's not really like we're going super in depth to present a movie every single week or a show or whatever it is what we're talking about.
And we could do that, but then we'd have to
be
just
like
purely focus on it.
super into the industry where we get like this like behind the scenes info that really nobody else has.
Not necessarily. That would help. That would definitely help. But we would just have to dissect everything, which would be fine. But then we would just have to focus on that.
And go like shot per shot.
More like scene by scene, and then if there's something super interesting, then yeah, shot by shot. But it would just purely be that, to go into the detail that would be different from everyone else. Where it would if someone else is talking about it, we would present something that's different but still interesting.
True.
Which I think we didn't do. We were just kind of talking about it, more or less, the big details. So I think we need something that I felt like I was more into the movie thing and you were into it too, but just kind of more interested in it. Like, yeah, I enjoyed it and talked about some stuff, but I think we need an overlap of something that you would want to talk about and I would want to talk about.
That's true.
So what would be the overlap? Or do we even need an overlap? Because I think I've said it before, just for the past 3 or 4, I don't know, or it might have even been 5, where I said just bring something that you find interesting and whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just bring it in. Doesn't matter what it is.
I get that. The only thing is, earlier you said you don't want to be a teacher. So I feel like if I'm talking about something I am super interested in, I want to talk about, and I'm telling you about it, you might have no general knowledge about it, or might not be interested, or you might be interested, but you don't know anything about it. Then at that point, we're just kind of being teachers, and I might be saying something, and then we'll go back to square one where you're like, I don't think that's true. And then,
well, in that case, I'm not a teacher. I'm just listening. I'm just You just share. You're the teacher. You're sharing something with me.
Mm-hmm. But then they would be vice versa. Then
Where I would share something with you.
You bring a topic, and maybe I don't know about anything about it, and then you'd be kind of teaching.
All right, let's get right into it. My problem is you're trash at explaining things. That's my gripe. That's my real gripe.
I don't.
You are by far not the worst. You're not the worst person that explains things, but you're not that very good at explaining things, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't.
Like that, whatever that rant was right now. I knew what you were trying to say, but I can see how someone else could get confused in that. And I think I know what you're saying, but I think that's only because of practice with Apa.
Nah, the hell no, I'm not.
He does it a lot worse. So you see where my practice comes from? He does it way worse. She does it too. All of you guys do it, but because Apa is by far the worst, I've had practice for all these years to figure out what he actually means and just to get like to the meaning of what he's trying to say. So I understood like that rant you just went on. I understood what you're trying to say and I got it. But again, I can see how someone listening would be like, well, what's he trying to say? That's another reason I don't want to do the movie review thing, because it's a review. So we're taking all this information and we have to condense it and then present it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
so like the I'm trying to think of a specific example of a podcast. Like the Dak Shepard one, since you're familiar with it. I'm assuming that he doesn't have to like get this information and condense it. I think he's just talking to the person across from him and just they're just sharing information, kind of going back and forth, telling some stories maybe, but there's no they're analyzing something and like breaking it down and presenting it.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like an interview, it just feels like they're talking. So yeah.
Yeah, for the last 50, I think we've been an interview. Like breaking stuff down and trying to do that, which is fine, but I think we just both got lost at certain points. Basically, I don't think we should do that. I think we're better when we just riffed. Following?
Yes.
See, that right there felt like a question.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree. Back when we were doing questions, fucking hated that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I get you. You don't want to be a teacher or whatever. And then the whole thing where, you know, if they're going to click on whatever it was that we were talking about, it's because they've seen it. They want to hear other people also talk about it. Not because they haven't seen it and they're, you know, they want to know what we have to say before they maybe make a decision whether they're going to watch it or read it or not or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't want to be some like a podcast where we're teaching or talking about something that people want more info on. I mean, that's why maybe I do under-explain things. Part of it is just because, yeah, I don't have... The words don't come to me right then and there where I'm trying to get super detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you sometimes over-explain things.
Yeah, definitely.
Where I'm just like, all right, well, get to it. Like, where like kind of goes on this long tangent of like... I wouldn't say useless info, but it's like, you got to kind of give the listener some respect and where you're not talking to them like they're super dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know, some things just shouldn't be explained.
Yeah, and I did that because just to assume that I assumed that there's one person that doesn't know what I'm talking about. And if there's one person, to me at the time, my thought was if there's one person that doesn't know what I'm talking about, then that warrants me explaining it.
I can see that.
And that was
And it's not like that I don't agree with it, but if there's like 19 other people that do know, kind of makes it suck for them.
See, in that case, that's why I would feel for that one person to still explain it. And then I know why I do it, because that's how I explain my poster presentations. That's how I would explain my talks. It would be explain it to in a way where there's always one person in there that doesn't know what you're talking about, so therefore explain it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And actually that was the case, that most people didn't know what you were talking about, so you did have to do it like that. So that just transferred over to here, where I would still explain things assuming that there's either one person or most people don't know what I'm talking about, even if they did know, and it was something that was super common and super popular and super, how should I say, yeah, I guess popular. I would still explain it for that one person that might not have known.
Yeah. But you can see how that can also prevent the rift from like going back and forth, from over explaining and stuff.
Well, now I do. If that bothers you, or that breaks the rift for you.
It doesn't bother me, because
Not bother, I should say break the rift. It prevents it.
sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And also the one thing that does kind of get me is when you're two in the middle and we're trying to like go over something, you're like jump one side and then jump back and then just be like, nah, I'm in the middle. And I'm just like, okay, which side do I come back on? Because then it just makes things confusing.
Oh yeah, that I do on purpose.
And I'm just like, all right, well.
Well, it's because I try to argue for both sides. I don't want to just argue for one side and then just have that be the position that I have to stay with.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. No one ever has to stick with the same position. You change it as you're talking in the middle, and you do that. But
yeah,
it's I don't know. I feel like you should get one statement out on one side and then do the second one.
Because that's what I was trying to do.
You do that mid conversation or like mid sentence, like you're explaining for the left.
Mm-hmm.
This is the terrible analogy because we never get into the left or the right, but you'll explain to the right, and then the ending of your sentence will be like speaking for the right, and then sometimes it just leaves me like, all right, so was this sentence for the left or was it for the right?
Both. So cupcakes are the best blueberry cupcakes are the best cupcakes ever. They're sweet, delicious, they're really good, and they're good for your health. But if you want to get an even better, healthier one, then you should get a red cupcake, because red cupcakes are even better because they're better for your health, and there's something like that.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay.
So I was sharing. So the main point was cupcakes. Which cupcake is better? And I gave both sides. But I went with the blue one as like, oh, I think the blue one's the best, and then I went, nah, red one's the best.
Yeah, I know. So you didn't answer the question if that was the question being asked.
My point was to not answer it, just to present the information and make whoever's listening come up with their own answer.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like podcasts are, people listen to podcasts because they want to hear the person speaking's point of view.
That's true.
And you're kind of doing like more of a
in the middle
in school presentation where you're just like, hey, this is my research, this is what this is my presentation, take it as you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, I noticed you don't really want to talk about yourself. You want to keep yourself more anonymous, I guess. And you just want, here's the info.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think.
Well, I can talk about myself. I just think Personally, at this moment, I just think no one wants to hear it. At this moment.
True.
So
But we don't know that.
You're right. We don't know that, but I would just assume that no one really cares, because I wouldn't care, because we're not at the point where we're popular enough to make people care about what I would have to about my personal life yet.
I would argue against that because right now, really, the only people that listen to us is our friends and family, people that do care about us.
Yeah.
So
fair.
they would want to hear, or like they're listening to us because they want to hear what we have to say. And then that's why when, like on Instagram, the questions that you've been posting about like primarily doesn't that make my face oily, or the smoking make your face oily? And I responded to it because I thought it was funny. And then, one of our followers wrote, "Nah, Steven is tripping." Like this is that interaction part that I think would help get us or elevate us, getting more interaction.
Right. And I think we might. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just say, yeah, I agree. I meant more actual my history. Like, I'm cool with just talking about what we did this week. And if something from the past comes up naturally, like the Runyon thing, if it comes up naturally, then I'll bring it up. But I don't just want to focus on that. And I know that's not what you're saying, but I only bring something up when it's related to what we're talking about and it kind of drives the point forward.
Yeah. Like, obviously, I'm not going to just out of nowhere just be like, oh, so how was it like when you were 10 years old or whatever? If it doesn't have nothing to do with it, then yeah. I mean, I'm interested. I want to know about your childhood as a 10-year-old, but not like on recording time.
It could be on recording time, but it
would have to make sense on why we're talking about it.
Yeah,
but like, if we're talking about something and then I end up asking, if we're at the store, what kind of cupcake or muffin you're gonna get? I don't want to hear, oh, this one's good too, and this one's good as well. I want to actually know which one you want, which one you would pick. Not, oh, I would pick this because of this, but I would also pick this one because of this.
That was a really good example.
I want to know, all right, which one are you going to eat? Like right now, we're going to the store. Which one are you going to eat? We're getting two. One for me, one for you. I need to know which one you're getting because I'm ordering right now Postmates. It's going to be here 10 minutes. That's what I want to know. That
was a really good example.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, there you go.
Let's do this.
Shit. All right.
FTP. Wait, what is this called? Podcast for the people.
PFTP.
PFTP. Yeah. The listeners are going to follow us and our journey on me growing out my hair.
Same. For the next 3 months.
Until I get super fed up with it and I cut it. And then you guys shit on me for giving up on my dreams.
Okay. So yeah, then I see what you mean now with I guess choosing a side and I should say being more direct about our opinion. Now, yeah, I see what you mean. It makes sense. Yeah, I guess I was just trying to present something as neutral as I could.
And I get that. I do. Obviously, being neutral is cool. I don't mind it. But you can't be neutral on everything. You gotta have a preference for on certain things.
Of course, no, on everything. Everyone has a preference for everything. Easy way to get around it. First, I would give my choice, and then I'll go neutral if I want to. So, cupcake thing. If you ask me, so cupcakes or muffin, then I would say I prefer a cupcake because of this, and this. However, this cupcake's this cupcake's that, and this muffin's this. But I would personally go with this.
That automatically makes everything more interesting because you get them to be like whoever is on your side, he goes, fuck yeah.
Well, hold on. I wouldn't say it's more interesting. I think it's more relatable.
That's a way better word. Way better word. Yeah.
Interesting depends on the person saying it.
Yeah. So
and the topic and all this.
If they think the same way as you, I relate to that. And then if you also present, the neutral info after, you could also maybe open somebody's eyes and be like, he does make a good point. Maybe next time I'll try this one too. Or if they didn't agree with you, they're like, nah, Pedro's fucking wrong. But then you give that other information. Wait, this guy's a lot more level-headed than I just thought he was right now. Mm-hmm. And then boom, fan for life.
Okay. I don't know about that, but yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I'd rather think of that, fan for life. But my hair's not looking all crazy, is it?
Nah, it's fine. It's just kind of like leaning back. Parted down the middle.
Give myself bangs for the next episode.
All right, we've been an hour over. I think we'll end it now, but I don't think we'll end this topic yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure within now to the next time we record, there'll be more things you think of and there'll be more things I think of. And I think I think the first half was just telling stories about something.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Should we end it? Well, there was one more thing I was going to say. It was about... Man, I just had it. Why have I been blanking today? It was something about the structure. The structure of the questions. Something about reviewing questions. Yeah, I don't remember. I think we'll end it there, and then, yeah, I'm sure I'll remember by next time. So the next time we'll go over it more, and I think we need to come up with a new bio and talk about the icons and the YouTube and, yeah, just some other things. So we'll talk about it more next time. And I think that'll be it for the PFTP. If we get through everything. Now we'll get through everything. We'll extend it if we have to. We'll get through everything next time.
Yeah.
All right. Should I sign us off? As a matter of fact, I don't even like saying... Well, actually... I don't know. I feel like it was cool at first. Now it kind of feels cheesy.
What, sign us off?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. All right, then you can say it. I don't know. I feel weird saying it. It feels too... Oh, I remember scripted. That's what I was going to say. That for all the past ones, it felt kind of scripted. And then if I'm going to connect it to what you said before, how it doesn't feel relatable because it's scripted. And we're not really just scripted. We're kind of like between scripted and kind of just talking back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that has to do something with it. But I don't know. It feels kind of like not a natural conversation when I know I have these pre-written things that I want to bring up, and I have a style of how I'm going to present them, like a presentation. It just feels kind of strange talking to you about it. If I was given a presentation, then that'd be fine because that's what everyone's there for, and they know that's what they're there for. But here it's kind of like I'm doing both, and it feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
Or when we both do it. It feels more natural and I think more interesting if like I have that information about cars, and then we're talking about space, and then just naturally you're saying something about space, and then I say, oh, did you know that there's a car that can fly? Where it's not kind of scripted, like we're not talking about cars, we're talking about space, but it just kind of came in naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that's why all the older people that do podcasts are more successful, because they have more information and they have more things to connect ideas from. from their experiences or from things they read or things they learned or things they've seen or things they X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
They have all this information that they can draw back to.
Yeah, I agree. Very true. Sometimes I feel like I could only pull information from like the last 2 years.
Wait, why?
I don't know. That's just a feeling.
That was a very specific number to 2 years. That was really specific.
Nah, 2-3 years maybe. Where I feel like I like to think of it as the point where I was, or like the first point where I felt super stagnant in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to better myself, I guess. So that's when I started. I went back to school. I started picking up, different hobbies where just learning different things, and then just kind of instead of being stagnant, just starting to elevate myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I got this like abundance of knowledge 2-3 years ago, and that's or like this little well of knowledge just like growing and growing and growing.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean now.
Obviously, I can pull stuff from when I was 10 years old or from high school or books from classes from like my first years of college or whatever. But I feel it's a lot easier to pull stuff from like 2-3 years ago and so on.
Yeah.
Just because it's like there's no like middle period of me not learning anything or just being stagnant, if that makes sense.
No, what do you mean by that? There's no middle period of...
Yeah, so like obviously throughout elementary school to high school, even though it's like school learning, we're still learning stuff. We're growing, developing everything. And then if you go to college, then you're continuing that, like going up that staircase basically. And then there was that period where I was just like, man, fuck this. I don't really want to be doing this. I don't need to do this. I was making money. So I just kind of stopped learning and then just got into this like cycle of just work and whatever other stuff that I was doing. But yeah, literally that learning stopped and it's just like this, I call it the blank period where...
the middle period.
Yeah,
that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, the middle period where I wasn't learning anything or really applying myself to like continue up the staircase of evolution, development, whatever. You can call it whatever you want, but
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. And if you can hear my dogs, yeah, you can hear them. They're barking.
Oh yeah, they are. I actually didn't notice it till right now.
No, I know you because you were into it and you were talking. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a point where you just stop learning whatever it was you were trying to do. I think. Look, I don't want to get into a rant about the school. So let's just end it here.
All right then. So
as a matter of fact, hold on. And I think that's how most people view I think that's one of the ways, or the main way, that people view the school system, that once you get through high school and once you graduate, that's it. You stop. Which is not the case at all. I think of it as the starting point. That's when you start to learn on your own, where you have to.
Stuff you actually want to learn about.
Yeah. Which is what you should be doing during, but it's not. You're learning what the curriculum tells you to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if the goal is for that to match up with what you want to learn, and if that's the case, then that's an ideal position to be in. But I think most people are just there and they want to do something else, but they don't, but they just have to kind of go with it.
Yeah. And I kind of hate that it took me a while to realize that. So that's why, at least now, I'm in like this, like...
Don't say good space.
Nah. But now I want to say it. That was not what went into my head, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but all these generic... Well, I know why. the generic terms that everyone says kind of not bothers, but annoys me. I think it's just because they're so overused. Good space, living my best life. Ignorance is bliss.
I don't think that's true.
It can be. It just depends. Hold on, I was gonna think of an argument, but not an argument, but I was gonna bring examples, but now let's. All right, for real, let's end it though.
So in that case, sign us off.
Sign us off.
Oh shit. Oh fuck! All right. You should be a voice actor, bro.
You don't think I got drama in me?
Oh shit.
Nah.
So yeah or nah?
Nah.
So did I sign us off?
Oh no, yeah, sign us off. I thought you
Me?
meant voice actor.
Me or you?
I thought don't you usually do it?
I don't know. I thought you just didn't want to say sign us off. So then I would say it, then that means you would sign us off.
No, I said it.
Oh, in that case. All right, man. All right, y'all. Thanks you so much for listening. Hopefully.
You know what? That's another thing. That kind of like, it feels weird when you say it because it feels like it's forced.
Nah, what do you mean? We're thankful you're listening. I am thankful.
I know you're thankful, but it reminds me of all the YouTube outros where they go, I feel like
thanks so much for watching, guys.
I can even copy it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate the help. We appreciate the support. Like, click, subscribe. It really helps us if you write some comments down in iTunes. See how it feels. Did it feel forced to you when I said that?
No. Well, I mean, more because of the tone of your voice.
I thought I was a voice actor.
Well, yeah, that's why you were acting like somebody that was kind of forcing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Point is, from the bottom of my heart and Pedro's, I think, I'm thankful. We're thankful. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Help us grow. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Almost forgot my name for a second. My name is Steven. This is Pedro. We're two mics and some theories. Peace.
Yeah, yay.